Hey, this is country artist Roman Alexander, and you're listening to Jim on Bass.
Welcome back to another episode of the Jim on Bass Show. For today's very special guest, we have on a country singer. He has a EP that came out recently called Midwest Calling. He's also a fellow sports fan, so we'll get into that as well. Please welcome the great Roman Alexander. Roman, it's good to have you on.
Yeah, man. Likewise. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's good to see you. And one thing that I noticed right away was you shaved off the mustache. You're a little clean shaven today.
I did. Yeah, I just I don't know. I'm one of those. I'll do something for so long, and then I like to change things up. I guess that's the artist in me. Like every artist, will end up changing their sound at some point. Haven't gone that far yet. Kind of just evolved it. But as far as the mustache goes, that's like I worked so hard to grow it. I mean, I'm half Mexican, so usually you would think that thing would come in immediately. Right around like sixth grade or so, but no.
Yeah.
So yeah, I grew it, and then I just saw everybody in country music has a mustache right now, and I just was kind of like, okay, I can't do that anymore. So
You got
wanted
to
to
stand out.
yeah, yeah.
Well, it looks good either way. But another thing I noticed too with country music, the style kind of has changed a little bit in terms of a lot of guys either have the hair, like you're kind of just rocking hair right now, or like a baseball cap.
Yeah.
They don't really do the cowboy hat anymore. So what's kind of it looks like you kind of go no hat most of the time.
I try to, like the one thing I feel like I've been blessed with is a full head of hair. So it's like I don't know how much longer I'm gonna have that in my life. So just try to use it to its full potential. And it happens to be very curly and crazy the older I'm getting. So I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna lose anytime soon, but I don't want to cover it up with the cowboy hat. And number one, I'm not much of a cowboy. It's like I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri, and right outside KC, and it's definitely rural, and there's a lot of cowboys in that area. It's actually, in my opinion, Missouri is one of the most country places you could possibly be in the United States, considering it's smack dab in the Midwest. But yeah, I don't know. I think I like my hair. That's what I've been rocking. So.
No, I feel you on that too. And then if you put the hat on and if you wear it long, especially if you go to a sports game, 3, 4, 5 hours, then you get the hat hair. And it takes like a day or two to kind of get through that. So I'm on your side on that.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of getting a little bit older too, becoming more mature in life, I saw you put a Instagram story yesterday. You rolled up to Costco. You got the Costco card.
Yeah, the Costco membership is this is actually really funny. So my mom was in town probably 3 years ago, maybe longer. Actually, God, this has to be almost 6 years ago. I think it was about 6 years ago. Wow, that's wild. But anyways, my mother was in town, and she brought my grandmother, and my grandmother is an avid Costco member. I mean, obviously grew up going to Costco, so we were in Costco together, and she's like, "Do you have a Costco card?" And I was like, "No, I don't." She's like, "I'm gonna put you on my Costco account." So, yeah, I've been on this Costco account for years, and just every year it gets renewed, and I don't realize I'm like, I was like, I've got to be paying for this thing at some point, right? No, I'm not. I guess she's been the one paying for it. So I've been kind of using my grandmother's Costco account. So yeah, no, I told her probably a month ago, I called her. I was like, hey, I've just now figured out I've never been billed for a Costco account, and I kind of feel bad. And she's like, oh, don't even worry about it. And but yeah, no, I rolled to Costco. I buy all my meat at Costco. I find it's just kind of a place, it's like as a dude, you probably get this. Like you just go into Costco, you go straight to the meat section. I look at some golf stuff. I look at the sweatshirts and like the pullovers and maybe like the TVs. And other than that, I try to skip all the rice and
Yeah.
the condiments and the frozen stuff. I don't like that stuff.
Well, yeah, I was thinking it might work for you too because you can get a never-ending supply of floss, the triple pack of toothpaste. It works for tour life, right?
It does. Yeah, it does. And that's the beauty is actually when I was touring, I would stop at a Costco because it was like I can get things in bulk for my guys, whether it's water bottles or toothpaste. I've done that a few times. Another thing that is crazy is like that I knew I was getting older is like acid reflux medication. You know?
Yeah, that little section before you hit the checkout lines,
Yeah, it's right there. You got Prilosec right off to your left. Why not grab it?
Hey, I think we deserve a little Costco gift card out of this. We're gonna have to at Costco on the episode.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for them because I've spent salaries there.
Yeah.
I love going there. I support them.
Well, speaking of support as well, you're obviously a big sports fan. So I just want to know who are your favorite teams? Because I know you're big into college football. Are you into baseball, basketball, and all that too? Or
Yeah, I mean, God, my baseball fascination has always been with the St. Louis Cardinals.
Mm.
I'm a Missouri boy. I mean, I'm from KC. I like the Royals, but growing up, the frustrating part was I didn't really care that the Royals weren't good growing up. Obviously, I grew up like loving guys like Mike Sweeney and stuff, and Eric Hosmer and whatnot. But I loved them. George Brett was cool to like. I had a
Mm.
poster of George Brett on my wall and everything. But you know, KC for baseball, they were harsh. The fans were harsh on it. There's like true diehard fans. But the first Royals game I ever went to happened to be the Montreal Expos last game, and I
Wow.
think it was a triple header against the Royals, and it was at Kauffman. Well, I think they went to Montreal. They bounced back and forth, or maybe they didn't. I don't remember. But I went to two games or three games at Kauffman, and it was against the Expos. And I got a baseball signed by the Expos, all the players, but it was sad because it was like nobody was supporting the Royals that day. Everybody was kind of making fun of them. And then when I went to go to school, everybody's like, "Oh, I hate the Royals. I don't like the Royals." And then about 2014, when they went to the World Series, and then 2015, when they won the World Series, everybody and their mom was a Royals fan. Everybody loved them. And the one thing I always loved about the Cardinals is no matter the season, the that they had, they were always diehard Cardinals fans. Those seats were always packed out because they just loved Missouri baseball.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
true. The diehard fans out there in St. Louis, and
yeah,
you're bringing some flashbacks for me because I'm in the Bay Area, so Giants fan. So I
yeah.
know we had some rough memories there for the Royals, but you guys redeemed yourselves in 2015, like you said, and finally brought one home. So
Yeah, you guys had Baumgartner
yep, yeah,
during that
he's a
time.
hated man out there.
Yeah, he is, but man, I used to play this video game, this little the phone game on my phone. I forgot what it's called, like tap baseball,
Oh
and
yeah, I've heard of that.
I loved this thing. And my buddies would all play it when we were in high school. And I remember Baumgartner was like you'd pay like $10 a month, or you pay like some massive amount to get him on your team because like he would throw no hitters. So of course, like none of my friends had any money, and I like begged my mom, like, "Hey, please, can I borrow your credit card so I can download this on my phone?" I did, and yeah, I had a killer team. So yeah, I like Baumgartner for those. He made my high school years fun.
Nice. Well, I had to bring it up because you're in from the Kansas City area.
Yeah.
I imagine you know the name Brett Saberhagen, right?
Yep. I sure do.
Oh, nice. Yeah, as you know, he's a legend out there. He's a
Yep.
friend of the show, so I
Yeah.
had
That's
to.
awesome. How did you
Yeah.
get connected with him?
Honestly, I reached out, I think, on social media, had him on, and then that was it. And then maybe a couple years later, I reached out to him again I saw he had a charity. He has a cancer charity that helps people out. And I had him on again to promote that. And then he said, hey, you should come to my charity event. They have like a gala and a golf tournament. And then I got to cover that and see him in person. So I'm getting ready to go there next month again. So it's kind of a cool thing how you can get to know people through the podcast.
And that's in KC.
Yeah, no, actually, he's in California now. I
Yeah.
don't know if you heard of Paso Robles. It's kind of down
Yeah.
south.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
excited to go there next month.
My manager and I drove through San Francisco, the Bay
Hmm.
Area. We went to Napa.
Oh, nice.
And, yeah, well, God, I love that place.
Yeah, it's a dangerous place, you know. The wine flows so smooth out there.
It does, yeah. No, and I've never been much of a wine guy. I think I was, a few years ago, but I loved the scenery. I thought it was
Mm.
beautiful. I felt like I didn't realize a lot of the Godfather. I think they filmed out there for a minute. They
Oh,
filmed
I didn't even know that.
out there, and it felt like it was just an Italian countryside. It was really cool. So, yeah, definitely a big fan of Napa, and I love California, man. I've spent out some time out in Silicon, at a
Mm.
winery out there, and done a private show out there. It's pretty cool.
Well, I'm sure it'll happen. We'll get you on the what do you call it? The band list for Bottle Rock. I don't know if you heard of Bottle Rock. That's out in Napa. Get some
Oh
great.
yeah, 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 yeah.
That's an awesome scene out there. It's always in May, so the weather's like perfect.
Yeah, I did Live in the Vineyard this past year, and that
Oh,
was
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw some photos from that. Well, since you are a sports fan, I got to hit one more thing. It's kind of interesting because you're a sports fan, but you're also in country music. So I don't know if you're kind of torn on this. I think you're a Chiefs fan, right? So how are you taking the Kelsey and Taylor Swift thing?
Yeah, I was annoyed at first because I got tired of hearing about it, but no, I love Taylor Swift's music. I mean, I don't love every single song, but I think she's so talented, and I think she's a genius at marketing and branding, and nobody can take that. She's a magnificent businesswoman as well. So I think that's cool. And then he's a great football player, and I'm sure he's gonna, he's an entrepreneur as well. So they're already a power couple on that front. It's definitely really cool though. I mean, I think it's good for KC. It's good for it's good for Missouri sports. And I mean, hell, it's done wonders for the city of Kansas City.
Yeah.
So I'm sure my parents don't love the property tax going up, but I'm sure that it's been cool.
Awesome. And Mizzou football, that's your team, right? That's your is that your number one, obviously?
Yeah, yeah. The Missouri Tigers are my team. That is 100% my team. Yeah, and we got a big game coming up. We play the University of Kansas this Saturday, so that's gonna be pretty wild.
Yeah, do you go to the game still, or do you able to sneak out there? Or?
Yeah, I try to go to a game once a year, or twice a year if I can. I told myself this year I was going to probably try to lay off because I don't want to wear down that welcome. It's like, I don't want to be that guy that's like, hey, can I get tickets? I know they don't mind giving them, but I really want to try to go to some basketball games this year. I want to support the basketball team.
Well, we got to dive into your new music. Came out last month,
Yeah.
and Midwest Calling, an EP. And I had asked you before we started, is there an album coming? But you're obviously, and it's as good for fans as you're more focused on kind of like the quality. You don't want to just push out an album just to push an album, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think these days it's like people's attention span is so small. I mean, you got TikTok and Instagram and every sort of social media, and there's a new one every single year that comes out, and it's the new hype. But especially with TikTok, it's like you get, they've told you originally it was like you got to upload 3 times a day.
Mm.
You got to be, it's got to be 15-second clips, 20-second clips, 30-second clips, no more than a minute. Now, then they're like, okay, go to a minute. And so people's attention spans are all over the place.
Hmm.
I mean, this started long before TikTok, but I wanted to focus on number one, quality, because I think quality is always going to win. But I think as well as quantity, getting quantity out and doing it in increments. So if I know somebody's attention span is going to be small, maybe just EPs, releasing EPs and trying to do that. I think albums are cool. That's a goal to get to an album, because you could live off an album for a minute, because you can push those singles on Spotify or, promote them like they're singles coming out, but they're a part of a bigger project. And that draws people. If it takes one song to blow up and they'll go look at your project. So yeah, I think, that's kind of been my focus. Like I said, an album is the goal, but I think for the most part, an EP is kind of what I've been focused on lately, and just kind of
Nice.
whether it's a 2-song EP, a 3-song EP, or a 6-song EP.
Well, you have the new music too, so I imagine you don't really have any tour dates right now. I know you have some getting ready for next year, 2026, but does it kind of get you in a tough spot where you're excited, you want to get out and play? Like, do you just pop in at certain events sometimes just to be able to play and see how the crowd reacts, or?
Yeah, I mean, so I have a few shows this fall. Actually, one's for NASCAR, so that's pretty cool.
Nice.
So that's gonna be cool to do in October. It's the NASCAR Championship, so it's
Wow.
a show for them. And yeah, like Straight Talk Wireless got one for them. So some private stuff. But no, the college dates, the college towns, the club markets. That's definitely been the goal for the spring. And every year I say that. Like last year was pretty light for touring. The year before that I was touring, and the year before that I was even touring maybe more heavier. But yeah, that goes back to the social media thing. It's like they want to see, these booking agents these days are out of their freaking minds because they want you to have a viral song before they're even willing to send you on the road. I'm like,
Wow.
just do it yourself.
Hmm.
Like go build those fans yourself. You can sit around and wait for a booking agent, or you can just go do it yourself. And so I got together with my team, and I'm like, let's start booking. Let's do it.
Well, speaking of shows, when I have people on, regardless of what they do, since I'm a big music fan, I'm always curious, who was their first concert? So,
Rick
who was your very
Springfield.
first concert?
Rick Springfield. That was my
Uh,
first one with my parents. I was so young. But the one I truly remember that I think that stands out the most to me was probably the Strokes and the Arctic Monkeys. That was a pretty cool show to go to because it was the first time I was able to like actually see like rock stars.
mhm.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, because that's one thing I like about you is obviously you're into country, 'cause that's from your mom's side, right? And then you're into rock, that's kind of more on your dad's side.
Yeah.
And I'm all over the place too, mostly rock, but I dabble in everything. So I think that helps you as a songwriter and creating music, right? You have so much more influence that you can possibly pump out on your end, I would think.
Yeah, definitely. I think it helps, especially if you want to cross genre a little bit with a song. I've never fully crossed genre. I've always stayed in country, but I think some of my songs kind of showcase different sides of me. And I think that's the beauty of art and music. But question for you, if you have a Mount Rushmore of artists, who would be your Mount Rushmore? I guess that'd be five, right? Four or five?
Yeah, yeah. So I did that the other day with like sports, and someone said I didn't realize I didn't even know how many it was. So I was like, I'm a true American idiot. But
No. No.
Lenny Kravitz is my number one.
Oh,
Uh,
dude.
that's what,
Really?
yeah, that's why I have so much good. I feel like good music influences because as you know, he's rock, R&B,
Dude.
soul, funk, all of it. You know.
He's got that song back at my dad. I remember his first time I ever heard of his Again.
Oh, that's literally one of my that's top two or
Dude,
three songs of his. Yeah, for
I'll Be
me.
Waiting is a great song.
Yeah.
Are you gonna walk my way? Like, I remember what was it? His when he played that show and his wiener fell out.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, not to get too sidetracked, I got to tell you then, when I was 18, right out of high school, MySpace was hot, and I got to go on tour with him for 2 weeks. And he
What
was, my,
did you
yeah,
do?
yeah, he's my all-time favorite guy. So it was like a dream come true. And basically, you just had to do a little paragraph of what you think the love revolution is. That was the title of his album at the time. It was 2008. And show a picture of yourself, put your demographics. You have to be 18 or older, and just see what happens. And I had won a contest maybe 3, 4 months before that through MySpace, where he played new music in LA. And I was one of the winners. And someone asked him, "What is the love revolution? What does that mean?" And he answered it and said, "It's this, 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 and that." And for some reason, I had like a photographic memory of what he had said. And months later, this contest comes out, and they said, "What's the love revolution mean to you?" And I remembered every word he said for some reason, and it was like it was meant to be. So we got to go for 2 weeks from San Francisco to New York, everywhere in between. It took us out to dinner a few times. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, I was going to ask you a question about your set list because he had said, "Hey, do you guys have any ideas for my set list? What should I play?" And this is before people were filming everything and uploading it right away. So I said, "Hey, you need to play Love Revolution like you are, but open up the show with it. That's the theme of the tour." Next night in Chicago, he opened up the show with Love Revolution. And after the show, he was like, "Hey, I opened up because you said that," and he gave me knuckles, and it was a surreal thing. So Lenny's my number one guy.
I've always heard he's like the nicest dude,
Yeah,
and to be multifaceted to a point where he can also act, which I
yeah,
think is super incredible. And I do think artists make good actors or actresses. I mean, to a degree, we have to act. There's a switch
yeah,
that comes on when you go on stage, and any artist who tells you, "Oh, I am who I am when I walk on stage," it's complete bullshit. I mean, there is a authenticity to them when they walk on stage. I think Chris Stapleton's kind of the exception. He's like
mm,
that. Johnny Cash. There's some of those greats, but these days where there has to be some amount of theatrics involved, you kind of have to turn that switch on. You got people who are introverts, but when they walk on stage, they're extroverts, and I
yeah.
think the same thing happens on screen. And I think that's definitely a way that I think those worlds connect. So, but yeah, okay. Next person on your Mount Rushmore. I was curious. So there's five people.
Yeah,
So you got
Lenny, U2 for me is two. Three would be Bruce Springsteen. Four is probably Tom Petty. And then number five, I always kind of say maybe Aerosmith is number five. Uh,
yeah. That's a
but
great band.
uh,
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
and then I don't know if maybe tied for five. I don't know if you've heard of a guy named Pete Yorn. He's a singer-songwriter, kind of. You should check him out. He's pretty good. How about you? Who's your five?
Elvis is always going to be number one
Mm.
for me. Elvis, man, I love the Cult. That's like one of my favorite
Oh,
bands of all time. Not a specific member in the Cult, just like the Cult. Um, Billy Currington. I know this is super weird. Like I'm all over the place, but that's my music.
yeah.
Taste. Oh God, Johnny Cash, and I got to go Waylon Jennings. I think.
Oh, there you go. Throwback.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love those guys, and there's always artists I love, but that's gotta be my five. If that was five, that was five. Yeah,
I'll edit this part out.
you're good.
You know,
No,
you just got over a cold. You have that itch that comes out of fucking nowhere and then takes you down.
I was sick for this past couple weeks. I was so sick, man. I don't know what's going on. I don't really know. if it was COVID, then it was COVID. I don't know, but I was just sick, man. I couldn't get over it. Couldn't kick it. I tried.
Yeah, I'm kind of out of the woods now, but like that itch fucking hits. Everyone's getting it, like you said, though.
Yeah, that's weird.
Well, kind of speaking on that really quick, I just wanted to hit who's someone maybe that you like but you haven't seen yet, that you'd love to see, and then who is another question that who is someone that you'll see every chance you get because maybe you saw them and like, okay, they're awesome. I got to see them every time.
You know, I'm not much of a concert goer.
Mm.
I think I get jealous. I hate watching artists play. It's like I love playing live so much. You know, you get the guys. There's some artists who are just like enthusiasts that can go to a concert and they can go and watch and
Yeah.
on. I can't. Like I get jealous, and I think it drives me nuts. It's like, but okay, there is a group. I worked for them. I was a merch guy for some years. So any chance I can, if they're in Nashville, or I happen to be in that city they're in, Shenandoah. They sing like Church on Cumberland Road, 2 Dozen Roses.
Okay.
They're like a classic '90s group, and I worked for them for years, and they're always super supportive and very loving guys, and I love them to death, like family. So I try to go see them. But there's a band I've always wanted to see. They're actually I don't know why they're not on my Mount Rushmore. They'd be Kings of Leon.
Oh yeah, I've seen them multiple times. Yeah, they're
Dude,
great.
they're gonna be here, and their tickets like $1,100 for some tickets.
Holy cow.
Dude, I can't justify
Yeah.
that. It's like when you're on this side of it, it's kind of like it's like okay, you have connections in sports. So if you really want free tickets, you know you can call some people and connect with some people and hit some people up. Why would you spend $600 on tickets? You know, it's like, I just can't unless it's like a playoff game or it's a Super Bowl's $20,000. But you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
unless it's a crazy, exhibition match or something, then yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Like it doesn't matter what it is, sports, concert. Nowadays, if you want like a decent view, it's literally $500 minimum to get like a decent view. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's not worth it to me. And now the online talk concerts are so good the way they broadcast it.
Yeah.
It's like nothing will beat going to a festival, beer in your hand, uh, probably 3 sheets to the wind, but you're like listening and you're just like, God damn, this is good. But also it's like, I don't know. I like sitting on my couch. I'm kind of an introvert to a degree. So I'll watch a concert on TV and I can skip to my favorite songs,
Yeah.
So there hasn't been a concert where even with my favorites, there hasn't been a concert where I've been able to sit all the way through and love every single song.
Yeah, there's always a pee break in there, you know? Like, okay, I'll leave on this one.
It's like I went and saw Billy Idol, and I love Billy Idol, but it's like when he played his new stuff, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not here for that.
Yeah. Well, that's funny because are you into Zach Bryan at all? Because Kings of Leon were just here with him, and they played at like Golden Gate Park, and
Yeah,
it was kind of a double bill show. But again, super expensive.
he's cool. Yeah, I like Zach. It's not necessarily my. And God, so many country fans are gonna be like, "How dare you?" Shut up. He's good. I like him. I'm sure he's a really cool dude. His type of country music is just not just
Gotcha.
not my taste of country. But I think that'd be um, a super cool combo to see live. I think he's such a great storyteller, such a great songwriter, and they are too. So to see that combination, and you can see a little bit where his influence of them come through in his music. So it makes sense to have those two paired together. So that would have, to answer your question, yes, that would have been killer to see.
Gotcha. Well, made me think really quick because I'm excited. The new Bruce Springsteen movie is coming out. I think in like a couple
Yeah,
weeks or so. So,
yeah.
yeah, since you're an Elvis guy, were you okay with the Austin Butler movie? How did you kind of take that one? I thought it was okay. It got a little weird for me at the end, but
But that's Baz Luhrmann for you. He's very flashy. His movies are very flamboyant with their flashiness and the lights and the glitz and the glamour. But that's Elvis, though. I mean that he wasn't. We always think that came out in the '70s, like that version of him. But man, if you know Elvis, he was very ahead of his time. He wore pink. Back in the '50s when and he loved Little Richard, and he was very influenced by black music,
hmm,
and BB King, and I think that really opened up a world to music that we get to experience today because he pushed himself outside of the comfort boundaries. So that's why I love him so much, because I think that he was so authentic to himself, because of so many people that were also authentic to themselves,
Hmm.
and it made him feel that way. So yeah, the movie was good. Um, Austin Butler was did a great job. There is a movie though, as far as Elvis goes. I'm not like I'm going to Graceland for the first time here in a few weeks.
Nice. I was going to ask that.
Yeah, I've never been. I've lived in Tennessee for a decade, and I've never been because I refused to go without my grandpa.
Mm.
He's a massive Elvis fan, so he finally was like, he's an old Vietnam vet, an old Marine, so he's kind of stubborn, and he was like, fine, I'll go. God damn it, I'll do it finally. I asked him like a trillion times, and he finally agreed. So it's going to be my grandparents' 45th wedding anniversary, and it's my aunt's birthday as well. So
Wow.
can make a family event out of it. It'll be pretty cool.
Nice. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah, but
said that there,
the Bruce Springsteen movie, I'm excited for that. Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited for that one too. For me, I thought it was cool. I don't know if you're into the Wallflowers at all, but Jacob Dylan, he's one of my favorites too. They might be actually top five too. Um,
Yeah.
and I saw him, and you talking about Elvis reminded me of it. I can't remember what the brand was. I think it's a brand of guitar, and I think it might have said Elvis on it. There's something on it that relates to him. So I got to meet him after a show, and I said, "Hey, your guitar, like, is that?" Elvis obviously didn't own that, right? Because I was thinking that'd be like an antique. And he said no, and he started talking about how he likes Elvis and stuff. So it just made me wonder, like, do you ever someone that you've admired that you got to kind of talk shop with, or in the music world, or
You know, um, I okay, I grew up in a really big military family, and I've as a musician, as an artist, if you listen to like two special operators talking, most of the time they'll never talk about what they do, even like to each other. Occasionally, maybe over a beer or something. Um, but they'll always talk about sports
hmm.
or things that they're interested in. Um, so to answer your question, no, not really, not from like a technical standpoint, talking music or influence or anything like that. But I always talk sports. I think sports is a universal language. Like I said, I'm a bigger race car fan, so I love talking racing, and I occasionally, I'll find especially in the country world, like you know, whatever artist it might be. Keith Urban loves cars, car guy, so it's cool to talk cars with him. If you see him, and he's always open to that. But yeah, no, I wish I would. I wish I'm not very technical. Like I don't know much about guitars. I wish I did. I'm like, this one sounds good with my voice, and I like it, and it's pretty, and it sounds good, and it stays in tune. I like it. I'll play it. Excuse me. And then I like video games too. So like I'll talk video games. Yeah.
No, it makes sense. I had a few months back, I was able to talk with Jerry Rice at a golf tournament. Did a quick interview, and I said something like, "Oh, how's your team? Like, who are you paired up with?" And he said, they want to talk football. I want to talk golf. I want to talk about life or whatever it is with them." So I see how that can be. You want to talk about something else.
It's a common thing, dude, with football players. They love golf. That's like one thing
Yeah.
they always pick up. I don't look at Brady, Joe Montana.
Yep.
Um,
Golf addicts.
I think it's I think I can dissect why. I don't know 100%, and correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you can answer this, but I think it has to do with it is such a hard game. It's such a mental game, and it's such a mental exercise. And it doesn't matter what age you are. You could be. Let me look at Tiger Woods, for example, or Bryson DeChambeau, or Justin Thomas. Or Scheffler. You could play your best game on a Monday, and on Tuesday, you play the worst game you've ever played in your life. It is a ever evolving game, and you have to keep working at it. And I think those high caliber athletes like it because they have to keep working at it constantly. So that's my dissection of it. I could be wrong, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's a good. I agree with it too. Um, have you ever met somebody though in the music world, maybe someone you admired? I'm always curious about this. Has someone you admired or just thought was good at their craft ever given you a compliment that kind of stuck with you? Like, wow, can't believe they like me, or they thought this about me.
I went on tour with Sam Hunt. That was cool.
Mm.
The Old Dominion guys done that. They're cool. The country community is really cool and complimentary. Um, 2019, I went to Maui, Hawaii, for the BMI Songwriter Festival that they host every year, and it was really cool because I wasn't supposed to be there, in my opinion. I had no music out there. I mean, I knew nothing about me yet, really, as an artist. And I remember this guy named Dan Goodfellow, who I work with still today. Great guy. It was at his house, and it was like 100 people. He's got a beautiful house in Maui, and he was just hosting this songwriter event. It was like an open mic, but it was like 100 people, and there were a lot of music bigwigs there, producers, publishers, record label heads, and famous artists, and songwriters. So I was a part of like the new artist category. Like I said, I didn't have music out yet. And I always love Owen Wilson, and Owen Wilson was there. I think Woody Harrelson was there. I literally got to hear Owen Wilson say "Wow." That was pretty funny. And I was in a back room, like it was actually like a bedroom, and Miranda Lambert was there, and she introduced herself, and I introduced myself, and she was super nice. That wasn't the coolest part. The coolest part actually didn't really hit me until years later, until he passed away. Was I walked out and I sat down and I actually played the first song I ever released, which is called Cocktail Conversations. And I, I was totally fine. I'm not a very nervous person. I rarely get nervous. Actually, getting nervous is something that's happened recently in the past few years. But I looked in the front row, and there was Willie Nelson and Kris Kristofferson sitting next to each other. Now, if you know anything about Willie Nelson and Kris Kristofferson, aside from them being Willie Nelson and Kris Kristofferson, they were part of the Highwaymen. So they played with Waylon and Johnny Cash. And I was like, holy shit. Like my hands started shaking. And I guess the label executive at the time looked over at the owner of the label that I'm on and said, oh shit, he's screwed. He's solved. And like they know how big of fans I am of them. But I'm also not a starstruck person, so I try not to like make much attention. But Willie could tell I was nervous, and Willie looked at me, and his legs crossed, like his folded over each other, and he's just Willie Nelson, and had the bandana on and whatnot, and the pigtails, total Willie. And he looked at him, he looked at me, and he just shook his head, and he was like, "It's okay, like you got it." And I was like, "Oh, that's so cool." Um, Willie's still here. Kris is not. And that was really cool to be able to play for Kris Kristofferson. Man, that was really cool because I remember like I got a standing ovation, and they were the first people to stand up, and that was just cool, man. That was, yeah, that's like a bucket list kind of performance. I think so many artists would kill to do that, and then I got to. I even smoked some of Willie Nelson's weed.
I was gonna say maybe you should take a hit and then take the stage.
Yeah, no, well, see, thank God I didn't, because I woke up on a beach chair. I was sitting in this little atrium at the resort and in a little beach chair, and his weed reps came over, and they were like, "Hey, do you?" I'm like, "I don't smoke. I don't smoke." They're like, "It's Willie's," and I was like, "Oh." They're like, "Yeah, we just gave Willie's over there. We just gave him some." I was like, "Oh, okay." Yep, I'll do it. I did it, and it was like sleeping medication. So yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it was cool, man. That's my long story short, or not. It was just, that was the coolest experience I'd ever had.
No,
Yeah.
speaking of movies and biopics, I mean, I'm kind of visualizing as you're telling us. That's a good story.
Yeah. And man, I don't know. I don't know how much we're losing these greats. And it's inevitable, but he's so awesome to be in his 90s and still be able to make the music he makes. And he's got Trigger, his guitar, and yeah, but Kris, just the fact that he's gone is just really cool to be able to have that memory.
Yeah. No, it's a great story there. And one thing I wanted to ask you too was one thing I admire about you is people who grind, people who, some people have easier roads than others. I know you've had different jobs trying to make it work, right? It just made me wonder, like, how did you, get discovered, or because it sounded like you grew up around music, had a family band. So was there ever a moment of like, all right, cool, I think this could happen. Things are going to go my way. Like, was there ever a moment for that or something that you kind of reflect on?
Yeah, and no, it's like a little bit of both. The moment, so I think a lot of my work ethic comes from obviously my family. I think you kind of inherit work ethic based on the people you have in your family that lead by example. But my grandfathers, uh, my poppy, which is my mom's stepdad, but my grandfather, my mom's dad, my papa, and then my grandpa. Um, who my grandpa's no longer here, but Mexican, families from Mexico, hardworking family. All of them have different like skill sets. One is like the quiet, humble, well-spoken, highly educated, hard worker who's done all the crazy things, got himself through medical school himself, which is crazy.
Wow.
Then the other one was a Vietnam vet, fought in the Battle of Quezon in Vietnam, and three Purple Hearts and a
Wow.
Bronze Star. And then my grandpa, who was a die cutter, but worked all these crazy odd jobs, whether it's construction, slept in a junkyard for a period of time of his life. I mean, you name it, the guy's done it. Um, and their work ethic just taught me so much. So whenever I moved to Nashville and I had to learn how to make a living, because I did, kind of was privileged. I went to high school and played sports and didn't really have to work until I turned like 17. And my mom's like, "You're going to work for me at the car dealership." And my mom was a service advisor at a Subaru dealership. So I worked for my mom, uh, washing cars and driving people around, driving the customers. So when I moved to Nashville, that's all I kind of knew how to do was to work at dealerships. So I had to do it strategically, though. I was like, I need to figure out, number one, how to make a living. Number two, how can I socialize? Because I'm not 21 yet. I was 18 when I moved to Nashville. So I'm like, how can I make a living while socializing, getting to meet people? And if I have to lie my way there, I will. Sometimes you got to fake it till you make it. And I still live by that. But yeah, I was working at the Audi dealership. Even worked at the BMW dealership a little bit too, and I worked at these higher end car dealerships because I knew music executives, producers, and managers. They drove those kind of cars because they're the only ones who could afford it because songwriters couldn't. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, unless you're a successful songwriter. But I was driving a 2003 Subaru Baja. Those are little truck Subaru.
Yeah.
They're cooler and shit, but I remember I was just like, dang, this is the only truck I can afford, 'cause it's like a truck, but it's a car. And, I look like I should be wearing a Patagonia jacket and living in Colorado 24/7. But yeah, Dirks Bentley came in a couple times. I stole a business card out of his car. David Nail, um, the funny story, he's going to hate that I say this, but it turns out it wasn't a Cubs hat, but he's a St. Louis Cardinals fan, but he had a Cincinnati Reds hat, I think, on his
Hmm.
dash. And it was like a special edition hat because it was like blue and red. So I was like, that's a Cubs hat because of the C.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I was thinking because it clearly wasn't a Cubs hat, but I slid him a message under that. And I was like, for somebody who says they're a Mizzou fan and a Cardinals fan, like this is like unacceptable. Like I was totally joking. And so him and I are friends now, but yeah, I could tell he was just like, I remember I walked up to him at a bar a few years later, still hadn't like become friends with him yet. And he goes, I was like, "Hey man, I'm Roman. It's nice to meet you." He goes, "Yeah, I know. You're the guy who left the note in my car. That wasn't a Cubs hat. That was a Cincinnati Reds hat." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, buddy." Anyways, so yeah, no, I worked some odd jobs and I would make an email and fake the email and like I was a manager and I got a label meeting one time from that,
Wow.
and it didn't pan out, but years later I had another meeting with the same guy I got that meeting with. And he handed me a business card, and it was the same business card I'd stolen out of his car. He was executive for Black River Entertainment, and then yeah, I became a merch guy, selling T-shirts on the road for Shenandoah, Easton Corbin, Jody Messina, and did some dates with some other artists as well and fill in. But when they'd go into sound check early in the morning, I'd pull out my guitar real quick out of the bottom of the bus because it blended in with everybody else's guitars, and they didn't know. And I'd play my guitar and post like I was on my tour bus. For 20 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour, that bus was mine. So I would post and you know it built a following. And how I got my publishing deal was from one of those videos. She
Wow.
heard me and she was like, "Hey, I'm trying to start a publishing company and a record label. I want to sign you." And the company they have today is because I was her first artist, and she built a team, and then they evolved and they got more artists and more writers, and it became this awesome big operation. But I was a ground zero for that, which was pretty cool. And test subject number one. So,
Wow.
but yeah, hustle has always been a big part of my journey. I'll say you take two steps forward, you get knocked back 3,000 steps, but you take two more steps forward after you get knocked back, and that's a victory to me. It's just what does Rocky say? It's not about how many times you get hit. It's about how many times you get hit, knocked down, and get back up still.
Yeah, yeah. That dramatic scene, yeah.
That's my motto every single day. There's days I don't want to do anything, man. I don't. There's days I don't know what I want to write about. There's months I will go months without knowing what I want to write about. Um, and one day it takes one thought to get the right group of songwriters together, and then we make a great song, and then there you have it. So,
I
yeah.
love that. No, that's cool. That's kind of, I relate in a way because that's how I started the podcast was no one knew I was doing it. Jim Stevens was my alias name because I thought that sounded like a broadcaster name and I would literally just cold call people. I would look up their name on the internet, looks like a real number. I'd text or call them. I had a fake radio voice. I thought you had to sound a certain way because all my interviews were done over the phone initially.
What is your radio voice?
Well, if you kind of talk like this, especially on the phone, you sound like an older guy. and they would think you're somebody, so I would talk like that. I did whole interviews like in character.
Sound like you're from Wisconsin a little bit.
What? Oh yeah,
Wisconsin a little bit.
Yeah, kind of throw whatever that little accent is, and then it just felt so good to talk like that too. So I would just kind of go into character, and I feel like I thought clear. It was weird when I was in like this mode, and then it kind of hit me one day. I was like, I want to do in-person stuff, Zooms, whatever, and I can't talk like that. I look like a fucking weirdo. So then I kind of just became who I am. Jim's like a brand name for me now, and now I tell people the story like I told you, and yeah, things just you got to fake it till you make it. If you don't throw the dice, you'll never hit, right? So,
Yeah, Wayne Gretzky says, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
yeah, exactly.
I mean,
So,
that's the truth, man. It's like it's a game of numbers. And I wish I could tell so many of my artist friends because during COVID, a lot of my buddies who were artists and doing well before when COVID hit, it's like they just kind of quit. They were done,
mm,
and I don't know. A lot of them went home and kind of weeded out the people who weren't really meant to stay here, unfortunately. And it's just like I wish I could go back and tell them. It's like, dude, it's a game of numbers. It's like the stock market. You're gonna have days that you are just kicking ass, and you're gonna have years you're kicking ass, and months and weeks, and then you're gonna have some maybe years of spouts of you just not doing anything. And it's a game of darts. It's like you throw so many at the board and hope that one sticks, and eventually you'll hit a bullseye. And it's
yeah,
just, but you might have thrown a million darts. It doesn't matter. It's that
yeah.
one dart you need to change everything. So yeah, you keep swinging.
It's like baseball. 3 out of 10, you failed 7 times, but you're still a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, yeah. But the failures. I mean, this goes into sports, man. That's why I think music and sports, and I mean, my upbringing works well with it. Everybody sees, when we think Michael Jordan, we see the Jordan jumping and the Air Jordan sign. When we think Tiger Woods, we think of him being freaking the greatest golfer, in my opinion, the greatest golfer that ever lived. But we don't see the failures, and they failed far more than they ever succeeded.
Yeah,
It's like we just don't. It's just the wins that matter, but it's the losses that define you. And so it's define your place, enabled and go and win. To the masses, it's the wins that define you to them, but the losses should make you, and I think that's so important. So yeah, I live by that, dude. Like that's my thing.
yeah. Well, I love that, admire that, and seriously, man, whenever you come to the Bay Area or somewhat nearby, I'm excited to see you do your thing and see in action. So excited.
Yeah, man.
Got to meet you in person.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely.
Well, Roman, for those that don't know, they can follow you on Instagram, listen to your stuff. I know it's on Spotify, all the major streaming, and they got to check out your latest EP, Midwest Calling. So thanks for coming on, and I'll see you down the road.
Hey, brother. You too. Take care, man.